Hello students, welcome back once again. So this is the class on magnetostatics. In the previous class we learned about cyclotron motion, Lorentz force, okay, and helical motion. So these were the topics in the previous class, and cyclotron motion happens when charge particle is entering in a magnetic field in a perpendicular direction to the direction of B. Okay, so then we get a cyclotron motion or cyclical motion, or we call circular motion. And in helical motion we have seen a charge particle moves in a helical path when particle enter at an inclined angle to the magnetic field. Okay, inclined angle means other than 90 degree. So then particle will have two motions, one is linear motion, one is cyclic motion or circular motion. So combined effect of linear motion and circular motion will be helical motion. So these phenomena we have seen thoroughly, and in today's class we will study about cycloid motion. This is one kind of motion. In cycloid motion, particle execute a motion of this kind. Okay, a semicircular path. Continuously particle goes in a semicircular path. Okay, with some nodes on their path. Nodes means the minimum point. Okay. So A, B, C are nodes, and particle continuously execute this kind of motion throughout the space where there is both electric field and magnetic field. So in circular motion, the condition is that there should be both electric field and magnetic field, and they should be mutually perpendicular. Okay, so we can see electric field is like this around the z direction, and magnetic field is like this along the x direction. So coordinate system you note down here: x is perpendicular to the plane of the screen, y is along the screen in the rightward direction, and z is upward. Okay, so x, y, z. This is what is called a right-hand coordinate system. Right-hand coordinate system. Okay. So this is the condition for a cycloid motion. The region should contain mutually perpendicular electric and magnetic field, and particles should enter mutually perpendicular to both E and B. So this is a case of a positively charged particle like protons, and for an electron the motion will be in the opposite direction. Okay, we can work out it, but presently we are considering only positively charged motion. Okay, so now you may ask why this is happening, why this kind of a motion is happening. Let us investigate it. Why this is happening? Firstly, what is happening is we place a charge, a positive charge at the origin. Okay, then charge experience a force along the z direction. Initially particle is resting. So when charge experiences a force, it starts moving in the z direction. So when it is moving in the z direction, magnetic field is there. So due to the presence of magnetic field, it experiences a Lorentz force. As a result, charge starts to move in a circular path like this. Okay, since B is perpendicular to the motion. So due to Lorentz force, particle starts to move in a circular path. Okay, as it moves forward and reaches the point A. At the point A, what happens? Direction of motion of the particle is downward, and electric field is upward. So you can say both electric field and the direction of motion of the particle are mutually opposite. So they experience a repulsive force or an opposing action. Because of this, particle stops at the point A. Particle stops at the point A. Okay, when the particle stops at the point A, again a electrostatic force begins to act. Okay, again this acts on the particle. So as a result, again particle start moving upward from the point A. Particle starts moving upward. So again a Lorentz force is experienced. Because of the Lorentz force, the path of the particle is curved, again circular. And when the particle reaches at the point B, what happens? Again the direction of motion and direction of force both are opposite each other. or you can say direction of Lorentz force and direction of electric field are mutually opposite, so the particle stops. When it stops, there is no more Lorentz force. As a result, again it moves up, the process is repeated, okay, until and unless the field is not stopped. So this motion will be perpetually go on till the point where field, which that means there is a mutually perpendicular E and B exist, okay. So that is the physical reason for the motion of the charged particle in this cycloid path, okay. So that phenomena, that description you can summarize like this, okay. Initially charge accelerate towards the z direction due to E, as that we have seen earlier, okay, along the E direction, okay. Again, this motion induces a Lorentz force in the charge, that also we have seen, as a result of which what happens, charge starts to move in a curved path and moves towards the y-axis, okay. So and moves towards the y-axis, and we have seen it reaches the point A, okay. Again, what happens at the, okay, and as the charge approaches y-axis, there is a repulsive deceleration, okay, opposing force. So charge momentarily, okay, so for a moment it stops at the y-axis. When it stops, again it accelerates along the z direction due to the presence of electric field. So this process is going on, okay. So that is how the summary of this description, okay. So what we have seen earlier is a theoretical or a qualitative description of the motion. Now let us prove it, okay. We have to prove it that this is happening really. So let us take the help of mathematics, by which we can prove that particle is exactly moving in a cycloid path, and we will prove here that the path of motion we can write in a analytic geometry form, just like we write a circular path using analytic geometry. Like x square plus I think it was like this, x square plus y square is equal to some constant for a circle, and for elliptical path we wrote x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. So this way we will get some definite concrete mathematical equation that will show you that the particle is really moving in a cycloid path. So let us try to prove it here. So consider that, suppose at any time instant, suppose the particle's position is represented by r. So r is a function of x, y, z because it is moving in the space. But you know here, since particle is moving in the yz plane, r is a function of y and z alone. Okay, so we have r of x is 0, so r of y is z. So velocity is also in the yz plane, so you can write velocity is equal to v of 0 yz because there is no x. So we have vy component and vz component. Okay, so velocity vector vy j cap plus vz k cap. J cap and k cap are the unit vectors. So as you know, I, j, k. Okay, these are the three unit vectors, and here we need only j cap and k cap. So again, vy is velocity, so you can write as dy by dt. So that is shown by vy dot. The y dot is nothing but dy by dt. Similarly, vz is dz by dt. So that is shown as z dot. So velocity is now y dot j k plus z dot k k. Velocity. Okay. So now we got velocity. And now what is the force acting on it? Force will be equal to charge into velocity cross v. We already know Lorentz force. What is velocity here? Velocity is y dot jk plus z dot kk. So replacing this velocity v here, we have q dot y dot jk plus z dot kk cross vector. Okay. So again, b is along the x direction. We have seen it. So we can write b I cap. So this is the Lorentz force expressed in the real vector form. And in addition to that, again we have electric field also. Due to electric field, that will be experiencing a force that is q into vector. So particle is experiencing both the magnetic force and electric force. Again, the Lorentz force, magnetic force is shown here, and you know that it is a cross b form. Okay, across vector A cross vector B. This is a scalar quantity. So A cross B is shown in a determinant form like this. You can show vectors in determinant form. So here it is a determinant, it is not matrix actually. IJK, and the first component of A, A1, A2, A3, second component of B, B1, B2, B2. Okay. So here instead of A vector A, you have this vector. So its component are X, there is no component, so 0, Y, there is a component Y dot, Z, there is a component Z dot. Similarly, for other vector, we have only X component, okay, I cap. Others are 0, so 0, 0. So now you can expand it using the determinant rule as you studied in your high school classes. So if you expand it, I am leaving it as an homework for you. You can do it by yourself and try to confirm it. So if you do that, finally you will get a result as Q dot into B Z dot J cap minus B Y dot K cap. Okay, it's a very simple calculation. Any one of you can do it. So we need this result only. Okay. So now total force on the particle will be electric force plus magnetic force. Electric force we have seen, this is Q vector E, and magnetic force result we just got now. So that is Q dot B Z dot J cap minus B Y dot K cap. So again you can see this is along the K direction, along the Z direction. So we have K cap in it. So Q E K cap plus Q dot B Z dot J cap minus B Y dot K cap. Now you can rearrange it along the unit vector directions. We'll first take the J cap component or Y component. So we have Q B Z dot J cap plus Q E K cap minus Q B Y dot K cap. So this is the Y part, this is the Z part. So writing separately them, Q B Z dot J cap plus Q E minus B Y dot K cap. Okay, so try to write all these steps in a notebook. Watch this video twice and try to write, then only we get a thorough understanding. So you are requested to do that. Okay? Again, according to Newton's law, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Acceleration is velocity by time, dv by dt, or you can write as d square r by dt square. Okay, m into d square x by dt square. Usually write. But here we know V has a Y component and a Z component. So V is equal to Y dot J cap plus Z dot K cap. Again, if you once again differentiate with time, dV by dt, this will be then d square by dt square, that is Y double dot. Okay, this will be d square Z by dt square, that is Z double dot. So you can write finally force is equal to m d Y double dot J cap plus Z double dot K cap. So this is according to Newton's law. According to Lorentz force law, this is the force. So both are same thing. So you can equate both of them separately. If you equate and okay, this is the Newton's law. This is Lorentz law. Both are same. So what we can do now is you equate them separately. We have Y component here. We have Y component here. We have Z component here. We have Z component here. So in the right hand side, in the left hand side, you will find Y component, and the right hand side will find Z component. So now you can see, take this part m y double dot j cap. So counterpart is q b z dot j cap. Okay, so that will give you y double dot is equal to q b by m z dot. And here q b by m is a constant actually. Q b m are constant. So you can replace them with a quantity omega. We actually call it cyclotron frequency, and we have derived it in the first module. Okay, you can check back. So we get what y double dot is equal to omega z dot. Okay, and on the other side you take the z part. Okay, this is z part I told you. Yes, m z double dot k cap is equal to q e minus b y dot k cap. So again rearrange it. So we have z double dot is equal to q by m e minus b y dot. Okay. So this is qb by m minus qb by m. Qb by m, you know it is omega. So this side you can write as omega e by b. Okay. So we got a y double dot here and we got a z double dot here. So both are mutually dependent. Y depend on z, z z depends on the y. So we have to solve it. Let us see how this is solved. So z dot we know this is equal to velocity. So replacing velocity we get y double dot is equal to omega vz. So you can write this is d square y by dt square, or you can write that dv by dt, dv by dt. Understand? Rate of change of velocity along the y direction. Okay, so other side you have omega vz. Similarly, you take the z part from the previous slide. Here also we have y dot, that is vy. Okay, so z double dot is equal to omega e by b minus omega vy, and this is nothing but in the along the as per the same rule, we can write it as dvz by dt is equal to omega e by b minus omega vy. Okay, so in both these equations, it's boxed equation. Okay, it's a boxed equation. You can see here vy depends on vz, here vz depends on vy. Such kind of equations are called coupled differential equations. Coupled differential equation. In mathematics, we have a particular procedure to solve it. We will do it. Okay, we will definitely do it. So what we are doing is, first we write the vy equation, and here vy already we have. This is given here. Vy is already given in the previous slide. Okay, vy. So you can replace this vy. Then what we get is, we can write it by replacing vy here with e by b minus 1 by omega dvz by dt. So omega vz. If you differentiate the terms inside, d by dt of e by b will be 0 because it is a constant. D by dt of minus 1 by omega dvz by dt, you can write like this, is equal to omega vz. So this is a constant omega. So differential will be applicable to this term only. So you have minus 1 by omega d square vz by dt square is equal to omega vz. Very simple thing. Okay, so vy part become like this, and the vz part, you see vy is equal to e by b minus 1 by omega dvz by dt. Okay, so we rearrange for vy. So let's see what is now done. Take the vz from the previous slide. So this equation you take, again we can rearrange it. So what we can do is, take 1 by omega to this side. So we have d square vz by dt square is equal to minus omega square vz. Again bring this term to the left hand side. We have d square vz by dt square plus omega square vz. So this is a standard differential equation. We call it a second order differential equation for vz. And in mathematics, you know many such relations. For example, symbol pendulum is a very good example. We solve it using standard form of this. Here also the same formalism you can use. What we get is vz is equal to, standard solution will be vz is equal to a sin omega t plus y. Okay, the same method that we used in symbol pendulum can be used here. So this is the solution for vz. So vz is something oscillating type of thing. That means velocity is not constant, it varies with time. Okay, that is what it shows. For a is a constant and phi is also a constant, which we can evaluate very soon. So we got vz. So vz is with us. So we can substitute in the equation for vy now. Vy we have already got there. So substitute here for vz. I am substituting for vz. Then differentiate with the dy by dt. So this will become a omega cos omega t plus y. Okay. So what happens? We get the value of vy. Vy is equal to now e by b minus a cos omega t plus y. Okay, so we got vz, we got vy, and vx is already 0 because there is no motion along the x direction. So we can combine these together. We can combine it. Vx is 0, vy is equal to e by b minus a of cos omega t plus phi. Okay, and vz equal to a sin omega t plus phi. So once you got velocities, you can easily find x. Okay, there is another set of differential equation. By using this, we can get the value of x, y and z. Very simple. Very simple. So what is this is actually, this is showing the velocity of the particles along the y direction, z direction, and of course along the x direction. X direction, as the graphic show you, there is no velocity along the x direction, but there is velocity along the y direction and along the z direction, where we need to calculate the values of a and phi. That we will definitely do in the next module. Okay, so this is very easy. Once we get the value of y and z, that will be in the form of a cycloid. Okay, and the cycloid equation, I think you have studied in your previous semesters. Then it is very simple. Otherwise, you have like to do some search in Google. That I am giving as an assignment. Okay. So here is some question for self-check. Explain the conditions required for inducing cycloid motion in a charged particle. Okay. This thing we have discussed in depth. Of course, you can find it out from the lecturer. And another question is give the general mathematical equation of a cycloid. So this is a very interesting question. You Google out if you have not yet studied it, and find out very interesting equation for cycloid. Just like you have equation for parabola, you have equation for hyperbola, ellipse. Similarly, you find the standard analytical geometry equation. Okay, for cycloid. So these are the assignments that you are supposed to do. With these few comments, let us conclude today's